family to me. Not only the fans, but the players, the staff. Everything about this place is my home.
Hello and welcome to the club. I'm your host Mars, and this is the Upper 90 Club, a roundtable podcast where five friends discuss the U.S. men's national team and how they just made it out of group stage.
USA!
All
right.
USA! Like after the Wales and England games, this is our special and thankfully not last live post-game reaction to the 1-0 win between USA and Iran.
All right.
That just punched. Yeah, can you insert some like fireworks later? We just secured our ticket out of Group B and into the round of 16 of the World Cup final tournament in Qatar. With me in the club, I have Ben, Mort, Trey, and Haas. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
Okay. I wish we were all like in the same room. It would, we could like, maybe party a little bit.
Have to put on pants.
Anyway, so I don't know how you guys felt today, but I finally felt like I saw our team transform from boys to men, and this has been one sweet day.
On bended knee.
This has been one sweet day. Yes. After the first goal, I was wondering if the water runs dry, but we wound up doing just fine. I'm so relieved today is not the end of the road. So now, so now I'll try to contain myself.
This is all off the top of your head.
I'll try to contain myself between now and Saturday, down on bended knee. Ben,
Yes.
I needed you to get back to that. I was like, if he doesn't say my favorite song.
I'll make love to you. No. Ben, how did you watch the game?
Actually, this time, Trey and I stayed at work and watched it, and it was difficult because, like, at one point I was like 10 seconds ahead of him, and then I was like 10 seconds behind him. So we just watched at work. I mean, don't get me wrong, we locked all the doors and we're just screaming, but we stayed at work. We still ordered wings because I'm not a monster.
What about you, Mort?
Oh, I had to work all day, but I booked the afternoon, got comfy on the couch, popped a beer, don't tell my boss, and I needed it because my hands were literally shaking when the game started, and I got all my steps in during the game because I was like pacing around the house, but it was great.
Yeah,
nice. Trey, would you like to provide a other side of the door perspective of your viewing experience?
To the panic attack that we know has been?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. We were going back and forth. I think at one point in time, I'm like, 428, what are you at?
And at one point I just started counting. I was like, 48, 49, 50. And you're like, we got it. And all of a sudden, we'll get to
the goal was
that's
fantastic.
What about you, Hans? Were you fighting the glare at Ben's house, or
took a half day? Went to Studio 35.
Oh, nice.
Ended up watching at the bar rather than in the theater. Probably should have watched in the theater. The bar crowd, me and the 4 people I was with were definitely the rowdiest people there and got some looks, but you could hear all the cheering from the theater. Good times, a little bit of glare from my seat, unfortunately.
How is that possible? Isn't that place like a cave?
Not in the bar area. A lot of Christmas lights.
I think
Who was
at
the bar at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday that wasn't there to watch the game?
It was people that were there to watch, but they weren't. They were eating their pizza, eating their salads.
Oh, F them.
People using that. It's an excuse to get out from the office.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
Patriots.
Well, we're going to try and get this out quick like the last couple. We have had a little time to rest and digest. I have not had not had much beer in the afternoon recently, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna be able to comment much on minutes like 46 through 70. I think I kind of blacked out for a little bit, but I tuned back in at some point. So let's start with the lineups. Ben, you want to go through that?
Yeah. Let me just pull
Really,
it up
just
really fast.
what changes we saw on the U.S. side?
Well, turn of the back, Dest, Robinson, Ream, cool. Cameron Carter-Vickers came in at center back, which had to have been a surprise for all of us. MMA midfield, totally cool. Pulisic, Sargent up top. Well, yeah, fine. I did see a comment that this was the first time, I don't even know in how long, where he didn't start an MLS player. There was no MLS players in the starting lineup. I was like, I don't think that matters, but
Okay.
I think the inclusion of Carter Vickers was partly because he's used to playing against a low block because he's playing for a dominant team in the Scottish League. So they kind of used that situation, and they said that was one of the justification bringing him in over having Zimmerman coming in again.
And he looked good.
He did. He was bailed out once with a free kick where he mistimed a header in the second half. But other than that, I don't think it was much we can complain about.
His hip
Yeah,
check
I actually
stressed me out too, but
Yes.
yeah, well, yeah, he plays kind of physical. He's a little pit bull. He's not big, like he's not as tall as Ream and Zimmerman. He's not like a force in the air necessarily, but he was a pit bull. I kind of thought it was a little bit between that, just based on the low block and how we wanted to play. But I was also telling Trey that Iran, how they played against Wales and beat him is they like found the guy who's bad at passing out of the back, and anytime he got the ball, they would just full court press, like attack him. So obviously that's Zimmerman. So I think if they got the like a note that was like, oh yeah, that game plan's out, because that was the only game plan they had as far as like a pressing cue in the game. Like if we replaced that, they'd be like, oh well, what about this new guy CCV? And they're like, well, he can play out of the back. Like he's not. It's like, oh well, crap, we don't have a game plan. I thought that actually kind of showed like they didn't press anybody on the ball until they had to. Like that wasn't a catalyst for them to.
And when they
press.
tried, we sorted it out very well in the back. I think they were cool and collected. Even though Turner had one ball up through the middle, that was the slowest ball I ever seen, but made it to the midfield. Luckily, when he got me a little nervous.
Was that McKinney?
He played to McKinney, but
I was like, what is he doing? Oh, great pass. Okay.
Any notes on how we set up or formation?
Did anybody see anything? Because I was kind of hoping for something like with CCV. I was like, maybe he can play a back three, and we would switch to like a 3-5-2, or like, if we had the ball, like almost a 2-4-4 or something. Like just throwing it at him. But I think, to me, it looked like they were just playing their regular old 4-3-3. There was nothing. There was no wrinkles. No, like it was personnel changes, but that's it. I didn't see anything
Straight
tactically.
I would say though
4-4-3 until the second half when we subbed people on and put 5 in the back.
Yeah, and
yeah, that's what I saw. I'm like, nothing special.
yeah, and you saw with the our backs, Dest and Robinson were flying up the
They looked great.
the sidelines. So we were very offensive. So often there was like 2 defenders left and everybody else up the field, which was great to see.
Yeah, so maybe it was like that's kind of what I thought. They would like blast up the side. So it could have been like, basically just 2 in the back, or they would sit Tyler Adams and they would have just like 3 in the back, and then they would just like press everybody forward.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, we weren't really surprised. There weren't too many changes, and I think we're all good with what unfolded. We want to jump into the first half.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. I thought the first half was great. It was very indicative of Wales. I also thought it was, and Tracy can speak to this, kind of like kind of indicative of England, in which we just like very much dictated the play, and it was not just pass back and forth. We were actually trying to progress the ball forward more than usual and create, chances for everybody.
Yeah, I think
So,
it was
Yeah.
like Ben was saying right there. Going back and rewatching the England game before watching this one, it was really taking a second look at that England game. We really dictated play. We really took it to them. We're working the ball, a lot of movement, and the beginning of this game was just like a continuation of the England game. They were winning the second balls. The passes were where they needed to be on the foot. You had Dest on the outside actually played incredibly well today. Anthony Robinson was a little bit off. We talked about it quite a bit that he was making the runs and he was getting into the spaces, but his quality at that point wasn't the best. But defensively, he was good. So, yeah, I mean, I think, say what you want to about Greg. His experiment with this team in terms of how he wants their identity is pretty clear. I think we've seen 3 games in a row where, at least in the first half, they've come out and played a clear, concise pattern and strategy that you can look at and say, okay, there it is. Yep, that's replicated. And you can point to it when it's not going right to figure out what's going wrong.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I think it's indicative again of the Wales game where he set up in a 4-3-3. He played a 4-3-3, and it was again kind of his thesis statement of like, this is what I want to do. This is how I want my teams to play. I want them to line up like this, and I want them to play like this. Purposeful possession soccer where we dictate the play. We move side to side. We create space. We get our, as we move forward, as we press up, our outside backs get into the play. They come in, behind the play, and then and then McKinney comes in late to the box. It just, again, first half was like, it was just a beating. It was exactly what I want. I felt great.
Yeah.
I was like,
and there's a lot of fluidity to our attack. I mean, the guys kind of flow. They're mixing up positions. You find sometimes Weah inside, Sargent outside, Pulisic inside, and whoever outside, and McKinney and Musa switching sides. And whenever there was maybe in the first half a chance for a break, you had Adams just shutting down Schaub again in the defensive end, which was, and we just started up. It was like wave after wave after wave, and we had quite a few opportunities. I would say we had probably 4 or 5 pretty decent opportunities and 2 really big ones. And they were kind of building on to the latter part of the half. And honestly, we should have had another one in the first half. With a little more better decision making. We had like the way trying to take the header versus trying to take it down or shoot or trying to get the foot to it.
yeah.
But the first half, wow. I felt a lot better about this game after the first half.
When we'd have an opportunity, they'd try to clear it. We'd get the ball and we'd create another opportunity, sometimes a third opportunity. Like we were just laying it on. I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere that they had 0 shots, not even shots on goal, 0 shots in the first half of the game.
Yeah.
Iran.
Which is crazy.
Well, can I ask a question about that? I was watching the Wales, the bar I was at had the Wales game on like one of the screens, and I don't know. I couldn't help but feel like Iran maybe was just kind of playing for a draw. As long as England held, they didn't really need to score, and maybe they were okay to just let us kind of do our thing. I say this, I felt that way, and then I felt like there was a stark change after the goal for the last 10 minutes or so of the first half, where they did add pressure, and their back line looked a lot thinner during that time. Do you think there's what do you think about that? Was it all us or yeah?
100%. You're correct. I had the exact same thought before the game that was what they were going to be trying to do, was hold on for dear life and play their game. But I think it started to shift throughout the first half as we had chance after chance after chance, and we're shutting them down before they even got into the final third of the US's end. And then it just kept compounding on, and it wasn't until 65th, 70th minute of the game where they really started to get back into their game again. But yeah, my fear was coming into this that's exactly what they were going to be doing.
Yeah.
They
And that we
didn't
just
start
couldn't
the
break-
lineup to do that, though.
Well-
They started their players that are their attacking players, some of their best players. So I understand that it felt that way, but I just think we were outplaying them.
Yeah, I think they're hoping
Yeah.
for quick turnovers and we just shut them down. I can't tell you how many times Robinson or even Dest shutting down an attack by a tackle or really early on taking the guy up on the run. But Ben, you go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say. In the first game against England, first of all, their coach is awesome, and he gets it, and he has the team playing pretty well. They got smoked the first game, but they came out with the mentality to just kind of run a low block, and they just got ran over. And then they opened up, and they were able to get 2 goals towards the end of the game. And then the next game, they didn't even try to run a low block. They were touted to get whooped, and they didn't, and they came out swinging, and they ended up winning 2-0. So from all the things that I read, and when they started, even though Asmo had a bum leg, they still started. They came out not running. I didn't think they ran a low block necessarily, or I didn't think that at all. And I think they were just constantly the first half just kicking the ball to get it out, and we would, instead of just getting the ball and recycling it, we were just shoving it back down their throat. We were playing direct balls into everybody, into Musa, into McKinney. So I don't think I think we literally just dominated them in the first half. I don't think they were trying to run a low block. I'm not even entirely sure that they were trying to get a draw. I think they were just getting outplayed, and they were just trying to survive. That's kind of what I think. Also in the first half, I want to touch a little bit on kind of what we were doing. Before the game, Iran is known to have to clog the middle, and then they let our wingers be able to play, great. But something that Tracy had pointed out is every time we actually did try to play it down in through Sargent was able to receive the ball, and it looked dangerous. And it was my hope was, as soon as he said that, I was oh yeah. And then there's 2 more balls that were played to Sargent's feet on the top of the 18, and he was able to collect the ball, and he looked kind of dangerous. And I'm yeah, we keep. I felt a lot was put on Pulisic and Way to take people on one-on-one, and I didn't think they were very successful, in my opinion, taking them on one-on-one on the outside. I didn't think our outside, while we did have space, we were not being successful. The balls went in, we're not successful. But playing it into Sargent, which is something, a proper 9 who stretches the back line, and you play it into his feet and run off of him. I thought it was great. I thought Sargent played awesome, and I just wish we would have recognized that. Trey, go ahead.
I think
you're the one that spotted it, and I was
the way I phrased it when we were talking is the U.S. does a fantastic job on the outsides of pressing the outside, creating space, and getting the crosses in. But sometimes being able to play it in to play it out opens it up even more. And having the ability with Sargent collecting the ball to then distribute it back out wide, for then to have somebody come in with the cross again, gave a wrinkle to it that made that outside defender come off of Weah a little bit farther, or come off of Pulisic a little bit farther to give room for the cross. So I definitely think Sargent's the answer up top with this group right now, and he provided a good wrinkle that changed the way this team plays a little bit.
I guess the negative side of that is, or the bad side of that is, that he is now questionable for the next game.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we get to hit on that a little later.
Yeah. They kind of put a button on the end of the first half. It didn't feel like moving forward offensively, we necessarily had a very solid game plan because we saw things like playing it into Sargent or Pulisic cutting it inside or, Pulisic creating space for Robinson and Dest to come up. So it kind of felt like Greg kind of let them play, like kind of opened up because, we saw Musa, and McKennie take the ball and drive forward. We saw that a little bit in England, but it just felt like we were doing a bunch of different stuff and it was either working or not, but it was dangerous and it felt dangerous. And I was like, okay, it finally felt like we have all this talent. He's just kind of letting them play. And we were able to just, create a goal.
Which we haven't talked about.
Yeah. Which we haven't talked about.
I want to,
let's get into the goal.
Echo that too, Ben. Like I don't know. I feel like with as much of the air quotes tryouts, choosing the lineup, seeing 100 different variations of who's going to be on the field. Frankly, I lost track of who was on the team. I mean, listen to your U.S. team update. Like, I glaze over so fast because, you're going so deep on these players. Today was the first time where I felt like I knew everyone on the field. And I knew, it was like, this is the team. I felt like I was watching the team. And it took a few games to get there because I don't think we really had a whole lot of maybe those couple friendlies where we got smoked. Maybe I'd have to go back and look at those lineups to see how they compared to what we played here. But it was great. It was great to look out and be like, this is familiar. I know who's where. I know what we're gonna do. It was awesome.
Yeah. And maybe that was Greg's thing. He just is like, I'm going to do all this stuff, but when it comes to game time, when it comes to, these 3 games, I'm going to stick with relatively the same people and let them gel. I just wish he would have let them gel together over the past, 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are the same guys that were here 2 years ago. Like, stick through. I don't know. Well, that's a whole nother podcast. Does anybody want to break down the goal? Because guess what? My internet froze and I didn't see the goal.
38th minute goal.
And great. All right. Can someone do it? Because literally it went down and it was like Tracy just got, the most, like he just won the lottery. I was like, my internet's down. I was like, I'm going to restart. And then all of a sudden I heard this blood curdling scream like,
I was like banging on the desk,
running in, and I was like, "What did I miss? Yeah, he's like banging his desk, and I'm like, my first thought was like, I'm gonna have to just not watch the rest of the game. Like that's our good luck charm. It's like my internet froze. I didn't see anything. I didn't see like 2 minutes up to that. I was like, great, there. So I saw the replay, but I don't know.
It was hilarious. I'm in my office going, yeah, slamming the desk, and all I here's him go, no, I was restarting.
I was so good.
Well, so
I'm like, what happened?
Leading up to it, it was a goal kick from Iran. Sorry. The U.S. wins it. They play it back to Turner. We kind of work the ball through the midfield. It ends up with McKennie. He plays a great ball in over top to Dest, who's running down the right side, who collects it, plays a very quick ball across the box to an oncoming Pulisic. And
I thought Dest
he makes
headed
it.
the ball.
He heads it first time.
Yeah,
All
Dest headed
out.
the ball.
But I will say one thing. That ball worked a couple of times today. That ball that McKinney hit like over the top to a runner to the right. We had a couple of them to go in the other direction too. Worked really well. But that one was one of those that you see the second that ball goes, Pulisic turns. He's at 20 yards out. He turns on a dime and he goes full sprint. And then when that header comes in, he knows exactly where that's going to be. So they show the graph on that also on the game. But man, and he just put his body in there. And I think it was kind of unlucky to be getting injured on that goal. But he's just in the right place and knocks it in.
Full speed collision.
Yeah, that was a beauty.
Yeah, and it looks like he has
Pelvic
well,
contusion.
let's take it over to our let's take it over to our resident doctor, Tracy Mock.
Yeah, not a doctor.
What is a pelvic contusion?
Not a doctor. He
Well,
bruised
disagree.
his penile area. No.
Been there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Had one of these one time.
He said
It
that
says
Was not
said-
fun.
he, he said he expects to play.
Yeah.
God bless
yeah,
him.
he
I
had a
hope he
tweet
does.
saying,
What was it?
"I'm so proud of my guys. I'll be ready Saturday. Don't worry."
Yeah.
That ball's gonna drop
Joke's
again.
on him. I'm worrying.
I am worried.
Yeah, I'm 100% worried. It's like, oh, cool. Thanks, Christian. Also, panicking.
Because
so-
I was talking cockily about like replacing him in the starting lineup, but no, I seriously will not do that.
Yeah, the entire first half, I was like texting you guys, like, I think we should pull him and put in Reyna. Like, I don't think he's doing anything. He's getting, frustrated. The last thing I want to touch on from the first half is, and actually the rest of the game is, I was also expecting a ton of like CONCACAFing by Iran, like getting her laying down, doing that type of stuff. And I mean, they didn't do any of that, or at least not enough where I was, like, agitated.
Yeah.
Did anybody else see that? Because I saw like one person say like, "Oh, they're just blah blah blah," and I'm like, no. Like, this is not Honduras.
I
away.
think it would have been different if we didn't score that goal and we were in the second half and you were trying to drag out the time. You would have seen a lot more of that, and I think that's probably a part of it.
I think
Yeah, sure, but we also did that
when it happened, I think the
them.
ref kept it under control. He let play go on. I think the ref played a good game. Refed a good game.
Yeah, you loved you loved that rep. You were like, "How cute is
He
this?"
looked like
rep?
an old Landon
Did you guys
Donovan
see
that
his
was
eyes?
more bald than
Ooh.
Donovan.
Yeah, he either had a lazy eye or his eyes were like 1 inch apart. They were like really close. I couldn't get it. I was like,
Saw Turner.
It's
Turner
like the
was
water
flirting with
boy.
him, when they were doing that. There was the injury there.
Yeah.
"Oh yeah." Well, I mean, you got Turner's eyes. You can get lost in those swimming pools. I can't even watch videos with him. I have to turn it off. I'm just like, what can I buy from you?
Do you
What
turn
can I buy
it
for
off
you?
or do you just pause it?
And
Kiss my monitor.
so we had the goal, and then we almost had another goal right
Yeah.
before half, right?
What do you
And
think
how
about
about
that?
that finish? It was offsides,
It
but
was?
man, that finish.
No,
yeah.
no.
All right, first off, it's offside.
Thanks,
And
Tracy.
second, finally, I've been waiting for years to do that. I
Penalty
still
on that word.
think it's onside. I still think he was onside. Like,
We
I
had
haven't seen
a
anything to
definitive-
show me
I-
otherwise.
I think he was.
We had a
onside.
definitive
On,
graphic.
On.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that graphic. The
It's a
graphics like
screensaver. Windows
cool, like
95,
8-bit. Yeah, yeah. I was kind of hoping it would bounce to the corner, and I'd be like, "Yay!"
You got a little paper clip that bounces over, and it's like, here it is.
I want to say one
They give
thing.
the graphic.
like-
I missed the graphic.
They
I never saw
showed the
it.
graphic when it went back to the studio again, and they had it on the background of the Rob, whatever is in there. What I don't like about the graphic and the offside calls, thank you, is the fact that when we normally have it, you see the play and you put it on the line. Here, it's like you don't see the real players; you see these artificial people, so you don't know if they
Yeah.
can move them around. You don't know if it's like
the
I moved them
eagle
a
eye
little
in
bit.
tennis.
You
know?
also
They,
can't see
like,
the ball
show-
being played.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, when is the
They
ball
can pick
being
and
played?
choose
Is
at
it
whatever
being- when
point
is
they're
being-
showing the
Right.
image.
I really don't like it. I think they should show it and like, yeah, here's the line, and then they can show the kind of a graphic afterwards. But it's really hard to tell because that offside was really, really, really close.
It was
to
a
me.
lot closer than
Yeah.
it looked because in real time, I was like, "Oh, he's off," and then when they showed the replay right away, as Weston was like going to kick it, I was like, "Ooh, he's on, he's on." And then as his foot comes down, he may have been just a little bit off, but let's give credit. Him taking the ball down, and again another outside of
That
the foot little
finish.
stab
Oh, yeah.
that just hits the post. I was just like, "Oh, he's gonna be the next Prince of
Next way. Oh, hold on.
He's gonna be the next Weah. Yeah, he's gonna be the next Weah. He'll be the next Weah. Besides that though, I did think he was dangerous, but there was a couple times where he, actually him and Anthony would just like kick the ball out of bounds. Like, Whoop. See you
But then
later.
it was all about just kind of staying alive to the half. We had a half a person running out there with Pulisic being injured. But I think what was nice to see is I saw him making a couple of runs. You know,
He was still trying.
he was still trying and he was putting the effort. So that could be a good sign.
Yeah. There was a lot of not clicking as far as individual performances, but as a whole, that was, as soon as the half was over, I turned to Trey and I was like, that's out of what, 5 halves. Like that's 4 super solid, convincing, like halves of soccer that I was like, this is great. This is great. Like all we have to do, and this was I think we were all on the same page here, and we'll get to the second half right now, where it's like, let's just do that again. Or, keep the idea of like, let's dictate play. Let's play our game and just go after that second goal instead of bunkering and doing what we did against Wales, where it was just like impossible to watch. It didn't allow our players to shine. And, here comes the second half. Now, before we get to the second half, I do have the Japan and Saudi Arabia lineups up. And it is interesting because, all right, check this out. The game before the World Cup, our lineup had Pepe starting, Reina starting, Acosta starting, Long starting, and Yedlin starting. It's like half of our lineup hasn't even played or wasn't even called up. And that was the last game. Japan had Vines starting and Ferreira up top and De La Torre starting. Like literally the 2 games before.
Yeah, but this goes to what we talked about after those games was quit effing with things. At this point in time, you should have it figured out.
That's what I'm saying.
And he was still tinkering with stuff.
Doing his best Caleb Porter impression.
Right?
He was trying to
So
fill
he
the
stuck
last.
with the MMA midfield, even though.
Yeah, but I think he knew that all along. I think he was using them
I do
just
too.
to see what else he could probably use. And he found out there's not a whole lot.
Yeah.
else.
Which is fine. It just, at the time and currently, the month before the World Cup, you want to see a well-oiled machine out there, and that's not what we saw at that point in time.
Yeah.
But we have seen that here in the first 3 games. So at times,
Yeah.
All right. Second half. I told you
At times.
I had a lapse. So do tell.
Well, we start with a sub. So Pulisic obviously comes out.
Yep, I saw that.
Brendan Aronson comes in. And I think we have.
What do you guys think about that?
He looked great.
yeah.
I disagree a little bit. I did not think
Disagree?
he
Are you
looked.
kidding me?
No,
He
I
did
never
the
think
things
he.
that I don't like about Brendan Aronson. Like, he's good. He's fine. He provides pressure. He's got a little pep in his step. He goes in and he gets a toe on the ball a lot of times, or just like some body part on it, but it still deflects and makes it to the intended target a lot of times. And then he rushes over to that person, and then he rushes over to this person, but he's never really accomplishing a goal.
He gets a little spastic in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
He laid it off to Sargent
Yeah,
in the 47th minute and got a shot on goal. That was the 3rd save from Iran. I know I only got to the 65th minute in my rewatch, I'll admit, so I'm sure there are things that I'm not thinking about right now because I was trying to rewatch it before we talked tonight. But
Okay.
Yes, and I agree. I think I think when I was watching it, I was like, it's okay. But here's the issue. And again, armchair analyst, I'm not a coach, but I'm really smart about soccer. So buckle up. So we had a guy, Pulisic. He's hurt. He needs to come off. He is a possession-oriented person. He gets the ball. He either gets fouled or he draws people away, and he is that style of player. He is not a like-for-like sub from Aronson. You're already up 1. Aronson, for his club, plays a really goofy number 10. Like, he doesn't play out on the wing. He does very well creating havoc in the middle and in transition. But you put him on the wing, that is not like that. It's not like the game for him. We're already up 1-0. He thrives in the middle and in chaos, but when we need possession and width and someone cutting in, he's not that like-for-like player. Guess who
I know
is?
where you're going.
Gio
There you
Reyna.
go.
Reyna was the easiest like-for-like substitution for Pulisic. And this I will die on this hill. This and all the subs and everything did not allow us to play a possession dictating oriented game moving forward. And it was so hard to watch. So when we started talking about the second half, the first 10, 15 minutes, they're kind of going at us. We're having like some possession, but then some of our players start getting gassed. Also, Iran's players were getting gassed. I think they were just exhausted, especially coming off that late Wales thing. Like they looked exhausted, and I give them all the credit for coming out and like playing, especially like coming through at the end and playing as well as they did. That being said, Musa was gassed. I mean, he went the entire way, but it's his birthday, so let
Happy
him have
20th.
the entire game. In fact, he was, happy 20 years old. I mean, he was a teenager until today. I'm so old at this point. It's not even. I can't.
And to your point, I have in my notes it says Reina ? Game is begging for someone to hold on to the ball. I mean, it.
Yeah, and as the game progresses, and I'm going to come back to this because I want to get into it right this second, but the game just kept calling for someone of his ilk to come in, and the substitutions and everything made were just like, what are we doing? Like, I'm looking at the game and I'm looking at our sub skill set, and I was so confused.
I was just yelling at the bar.
I'm really sad, Jordan.
Possess the ball. Possess the ball.
Yeah. So let's get into that whole thing. So I think we agree in the first 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah, I think we can agree that they did okay. We weren't dangerous, but we were holding onto the ball. We were possessing. We were dictating the play to a certain extent. It looked like it started getting a little out of control, and he needed to make a sub. So the first person he went to was Kellen Acosta for Weston McKennie. I think that might be okay because I'm assuming his train of thought is he's going instead of a pivot 8 to a pivot 6. That being said, they're getting leggy, and someone who is very good at set piece taking is Kellen Acosta, and someone who can control the ball in the middle. It's as close to a like for like. So, I mean, I guess I would probably lean more towards Luca De La Torre, but
he's been injured.
I was okay with.
Was the
So is that
was the sub for resting Weston? Or
Just gassed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he wasn't.
Weston was gassed,
right? Because
yeah.
He's kind of been on both sides for the last couple.
I mean, he has a wrap that he takes off,
Yeah.
but that's precautionary. You can play if you're injured. Interesting enough, when we did get a free kick, though, he gave it to the birthday kid instead of shooting himself. I was kind of surprised about that. That seemed to be a
I
perfect,
was really surprised. About
perfect Acosta kind of situation for me, and he didn't take
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, MLS players, yada 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 yada. He does have a skill set that is unique to Kellen Acosta and also very unique to the U.S. men's national team. Not that many people have that. He is our best set piece taker, period.
Yeah.
Like, you can't convince me otherwise.
So,
on top of that, free kicks out like between 18 and 25 yards. I mean, yeah, he's not a fancy number 9 or a fancy number jingle jangs, but he can. That's what he does. He scores. He scored in the final.
Yeah.
I mean, it was off somebody's face. Fair play. But
so
he's
up until this point in the
go ahead,
second half, 2 subs, not so bad. I don't think either of us were too upset about Brendan Aronson or Kellen Acosta.
Correct.
And then Haji Wright.
77th minute.
Okay.
And then Shaq Moore in the
Yeah.
82nd.
And Walker Zimmerman.
Yeah.
I would
In the
say
82nd,
one
yeah.
thing about he got 1 out of those 3 right, and that was Walker Zimmerman.
Walker.
Did you see how many head balls
absolutely.
he won at the end
Yeah.
of that game?
He
He was
100%
all over the
Walker.
place.
Shaq
Yeah.
honestly wasn't horrendous.
He was so.
No, he
I
was
would-
much worse in the
There's-
Wales game.
Okay,
Which is
it's a low bar.
apples.
It's a
and
low bar. He
It's-
wasn't
yeah.
as bad.
low hanging fruit.
But I think Ben and I think you guys probably saw the same thing. Haji was terrible up top.
And he didn't put any
Terrible.
energy. He was jogging around.
It was
Right.
a 5-4-1. They weren't. I mean, what was he supposed to do up there? It's not like we were playing offensively at that point. How can you
Get
be
the
terrible
ball,
when
hold on to
you're
it.
not playing offensively?
Bingo. And we can scream this to the end of the earth. Why wasn't it Gio? Why?
Or even Ferreira at
Yeah.
that point. I mean, if you
Ferreira,
want to have somebody
yeah.
who can run around.
Yeah, I would have put in Ferreira.
At that point, I would have
You
do
kidding
Ferreira.
me? Give me Gio and his attitude, knocking people over. You know what I mean? With something
Yeah.
to prove.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and there was a. I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
again, towards the end of the game, there was a couple transition periods where it was like 2-on-3 or 2-on-2. Gio would.
Oh, yeah. We made the wrong decision.
Yeah, every single time, and it's like, dude, if that was Gio, he would beat them, and then he would turn around and he would meg them all, and then he would chip the. I mean, he
well, if nothing
took
else,
on,
he's picking up the fouls.
It's crazy.
He's gonna pick the fouls up.
Yeah, which is what Haji should have done, and he did it once or twice.
He's
but-
too big.
So Trey, you were saying you went back and saw. So the England game, we can all agree, like, oh, that was great, and Haji started and went like 80 some minutes or
Yeah.
something like that. We were like, oh, that was great, that was great. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I think Haji played all right. Like he didn't do anything, and then
I
Trey,
actually
what did you say to me
went
today?
back and watched, and I forget what it was. One of the World Cup lead up shows, and it was, I think it was Alexi and Clint, and may have even been Carly Lloyd that was on the show as well. But they were actually showing Haji's movement during the England game, or lack of movement, because it was very, very clear what he wasn't doing. It was he was lazy. He wasn't moving into place. He wasn't reading anything that the offense was doing. And it really kind of was like, oh yeah, he really didn't play very well. Like,
And he's not good
we
enough to act like that. Yeah.
no, and we can keep
No.
going over and over
He's
and
not
over
quick
again
enough.
about like the chance creation. Like Greg's system doesn't provide chance creations for the number 9.
That is correct.
But if the number 9 is not putting himself into the positions, then they're not going to be there for the chances to be created. And constantly, I think that's what Haji's been doing.
Yeah. And also, he was subbed on because Sargent was hurt. So it may not have been a premeditated sub. He may have been like, I expect Sargent to be Josh Sargent and go the 90 and put it all in. So he was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I honestly think that Ferreira isn't mentally there or confident enough. And you've got, Haji who's hot and Sargent who's hot, and then Ferreira who's come under fire for like not performing for the past 2 or 3 months. So, I can give a pass. You got Haji who's 6'1", something like that, like a bigger dude who can, be a target striker, striker
He's
in
more like
quotes,
6'4".
but a target person. Yeah. He's 6'4".
I thought he was bigger
Holy
than that.
cow.
Yeah.
Might be. So he's like 8 foot tall. He's 8 foot tall. He's a giant. Yeah, he's 8 foot tall. That's how I talk. We played Iran. So I just figured maybe that was like an outlet. Like, all right, cool. We got, it's the 78th minute. We are going to just kick it to you. I want you to get the ball, which isn't his game. Hold on to the ball, which isn't his game. And, either draw a foul or counter, also not his game. So it's just, I was like, all right, at putting him on the field is, again, not a like for like. A more like for like would be Ferreira. And then what were you trying to get him to do? And then also, he did not do any of that.
Yeah.
My hope would be that he would, win the ball in the air, flick it on, or do something with his size to be able to boss them around. And it didn't do any of that.
Yeah. So
So frustrated. And this entire time, like we're getting, they're starting to really start to pour it on. They had 2 subs in the 71st minute, and they're coming after us. So we got 20 minutes left, and they're releasing the hounds, and it's just like, okay. So we waited 6 minutes before we had a sub for someone being hurt, and then we didn't sub again until the 82nd minute. So they subbed 2 people on at 71. It took us 10 minutes to get a dual sub on, and we sub on Walker and Shaq. Someone take it away.
and it's time to play Hold On for Dear Life. That's what that was.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as these guys came in, you knew we were sitting back and we were just going to defend for our lives. And that's what we did.
And why 9 minutes? 9 minutes?
It seemed unjustified.
Oh, stoppage?
Well,
Yes.
Is that
The
what you're
second
talking about?
half?
Yeah. Do you remember?
what?
What's it? Sergeant had his injury.
Well,
that was a big one.
Well, so
Yeah.
okay,
2 minutes.
And that
No,
7.
that's like 4 or 5.
Yeah, so it's pretty much automatic 4 minutes, and then it's whatever injury time. In this tournament, it's like 7 to 9 minutes. It's pretty normal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, so at one point, so when they subbed in, they're like, we just got to hold on for 8 minutes. And I'm like, nope. I was convinced we were in double digits. I was like, with the injury and the minimum they've had is like 7 minutes. So I'm like, yeah, they're going to give
It's
them
10 subs.
at least
Yeah.
10 minutes. Like, does anybody know how many extra minutes were in the England game? I didn't watch it, but I'm assuming it was probably like at minimum 5
think
minutes
7 or something.
6
It's been
minutes.
high. It's been high.
That's crazy. And I don't
I
mind
guess
it.
I
based
guess I
on-
wasn't really thinking about the Sargent injury, but
And the only thing there was a couple of calls for penalty. The one was the one they called for handball. That was a handball on them, if anything.
them.
And then it was the
Yeah.
and then it was
The other
the
Hey, give him credit. He wasn't wrong. He's like, handball, I've used my
and
hand.
then was the
I do
CCV
not play
was a little bit handsy.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I
it had-
could have seen that being called actually.
Possibly, but
Really? I didn't think it was close.
So-
I think it's one of those. If they called it, they wouldn't call it back.
You talking about
possibly.
The
when the
poll,
guy took Turner out from out of bounds?
No.
The ball was already
No,
out of
no, no.
bounds?
he came straight in.
No, this one came
Turner.
in. It had to have been.
That's the one I was thinking about because I was that
This
one
had to be
he
what, the
bodied that guy.
95th minute, something like
Yeah, I'm
that.
talking about the 54th
think it was
minute.
Was that the one that was it was a free kick? It was like
The
a,
free
a
kick,
set
yeah, like
piece.
kind of like a set piece, comes in over the top. The guy's running onto it. CCV loses his mark, touches the guy on the shoulder. Guy, and I forget who it was. I believe it may have been. I don't even want to screw the name up.
Taremi, I thought
It was
who
their
it
best
was.
player,
Taremi.
and yeah, it was Jeremy. Goes into the box, gets a hand on the shoulder from CCV, but instead of being pulled one direction, like his shoulder, like the one shoulder being pulled back, both shoulders drop and his legs give out from behind it or from under him, and it was not.
He goes 2 feet. 2 feet. Goes 2 feet. He went 2 feet up straight into Turner. The body, the way he fell, was not indicative of the contact made prior. So it was not. It did not. It wasn't even close. It wasn't.
I agree with
close.
Mort. If they called that on the field, though, if they would have called it, it would have been a hard overturn to not clear evidence. But
Really?
to me, the way that he grabbed, had he fallen and been like his shoulder, like he got tugged from one side and clearly goes down that way, sure.
Yeah,
okay.
if he would have actually gotten fouled, cool.
But typical
What he
thing
did.
was they had their 2 biggest chances in the 93rd and the 98th minute, and my heart
Was
almost
that the header?
the diving header in 93rd.
93rd.
That went straight. Yeah, just went straight. And I was losing my mind. The kids had just come in the door and they were like, "Why is Daddy acting so weird?"
Why is the dog in the corner, Dad?
Yeah, I scared him.
the Tim Ream clearance there at the end is scary.
But man, we wrote it out, and like Berhalter said, was hey, this was showing 2 parts of our game. The first half is showing how we can play and how dynamic we can be. The second half is showing our grit and our heart.
It's showing very poor in-game management. That's all. That's literally all I saw. Again, we're a crew podcast. Love Triple G, but again, that's when he's like, well, okay, I built this entire team, and I keep telling everybody that American soccer is blah blah blah, and we're going to play this way. It's like, yeah, cool. So that's what England did, and they got their goal in the 50th minute, and they're like, we're going to keep going. They scored in the 51st, and then they scored like in the 70th. Like Brazil would never play this way. Like they just like, if you want to play that style, dude, play that style, and then make the subs accordingly to play that style. Zimmerman, totally understand. Like he came in and did really well. Haji Wright, nope. Shouldn't have seen the field. Shaq Moore, dude, Shaq was bad.
Was he even involved enough to be bad?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, Go back and watch
I don't
it.
think he was not nearly as bad this game as his last performance. But
So
I've got a theory on this that we'll explore more after the World Cup, but I just don't think there's not enough talent on this team to play how he wants and bring people in for subs.
we don't have the depth
Yeah.
to continue playing in a tournament that has 3 games in 5 days or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Cool.
We are not Brazil.
Cool,
we
cool,
are
cool,
not
cool, cool, cool.
the Netherlands. We are not England. Like at
Yeah,
this moment
but
in time.
this game, but in this game you saw Shaq get forward, and in the game previous you saw Shaq get forward at the end. There is a player that we have that is very good in transition and very good going forward, and that's Joe Scally. He is very good. I've watched. He's way better than Shaq. As far as a lockdown defender, don't really know.
I don't disagree with you.
maybe not. I don't know.
We didn't need to go
Scally
forward
moving
at
forward.
that point. We needed to defend.
So let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this up a little bit. It worked. We're going through to the knockout rounds. Let's quit hating. It worked.
USA.
Who's your top player of the day?
Sure,
Dest.
Adams.
Dest.
I'll take Dest too. Dest
The
played.
Dest hater. The Dest hater gives in.
Who's the Dest?
Ben.
Oh yeah,
Ben is such a Dest
I'm
hater.
not-
Yeah, he doesn't
yeah.
like him.
I don't.
the Dest?
Okay. He played. He had another game where he just showed how his ceiling is super high. Like he deserved to play for Barcelona. That's my opinion. Like he defended really well. He got back really well. He got up really well. He got the assist. Get out of my face. Like I mean, that's crazy.
He was
on a
all
header.
over the place.
The guy's like 4'2". He was just everywhere. Yeah, he was an absolute menace at right back.
Yeah.
It was, and he would drive into the midfield, which would allow, McKinney to get into spaces he's not normally in. Dest in this whole thing has been really, really good. Like stupid good. He still makes me a little bit nervous because he just seems like he's like, I'll just keep dribbling, and it's like you could pass.
Yeah, he
like,
made
you're
that.
in our
He made
final
that one.
third. Like
that one run where it was like he dropped a couple guys and just kept going for some reason and like had options. It's just like I don't care.
he just kept going. He'd do a step over, and I told Tracy at one point he was on the top of the 18, like on the right side, like in the attacking, like our trying to shoot, and I was like, man, if I had to guard him, he would make me look. I would fall over. He's somebody that I would like. I would be like, I'm gonna really try to guard this guy. He would make me fall over. Like I
It was too bad.
I don't think that
He got blocked.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to have one of those lower.com shots there when he cut inside and he got blocked.
Mhm.
So, no, he's good. Adams, again. I mean, he got the yellow card. And I want to hit on the yellow card situation here, too, when we talk about the next game, too. But
yeah.
but
cards
Adams,
carry?
Pulisic was obviously...
Yeah, they still carry.
He sacrificed
the entire
his
tournament.
sacrificed his body and got the goal. Got to
Goal
count for
assist,
something,
Joe.
too.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I've been kind of a negative Nancy, but I'm very, very, very happy that Pulisic, who's on like an entire building in Qatar. Like, did you guys see that? Like they're like, this whole Qatar city is all built on Pulisic. It's like him on a skyscraper. The pressure, I mean, yeah, pressure makes diamonds.
No.
I love
get
that
it.
ad. I love
But-
it. I just love
Yeah, I
his
get-
list
oh,
line
man.
where he says
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, and when are you going to be like sitting out in a break room adjacent from cars being built by machines? Like, well, pressure makes diamonds. It's like, okay, Tony, chill. Yeah, so to me, it was awesome. I didn't think he played that well, but getting that goal, I just feel like for him in this tournament, he has we have 2 goals. He has a goal and an assist. Like the pressure's off. Like he can just relax. Like that is, the linchpin for Pulisic. And it just makes me feel good. It's like, all right, he got the goal. Everybody's happy. USA is Captain America. And, flag of America or whatever. Like, great. Everything's cool. Like, everything just feels like at peace. Like, I feel very confident in him just being able to overcome a lot of the crap he's been put on. It's good. But man of the match, stat-wise, was Musa. I didn't think he was perfect, but, it's his birthday, so we should give him man of the match. Right. I think that should count as it.
Yep, tiebreaker.
Agreed.
I mean, he did bust it, especially at the end of the game. He had a couple. I mean, he had that one where the guy got the yellow card where he was breaking away. He was able to like beat the guy, get up, like jump over him, and take the ball, and they like grabbed him. I don't know. He was gassed at like 70 minutes, but he was able to make it all 90 or 150, however many minutes we played that game. I'd probably give it. I don't know.
Birthday tiebreaker.
Yeah, Adams.
Yeah.
Birthday
say
tiebreaker.
that he was like, maybe he's more rested because he's not drinking, because he's not 21, but,
He's also Muslim.
All right, good transition.
Yeah.
So, do you guys want to talk about Netherlands?
Yeah.
Saturday, 10 a.m.
Yeah, Saturday, 10 a.m. I will say I've watched the Netherlands. I am a huge Steven Bergwijn fan. I loved him when he was at Spurs. I think he's great. I think we can beat the Netherlands. I absolutely think we can
Somebody's
beat the Netherlands.
drunk.
I would say of all the Dutch teams that I have seen over the years, this one has a lot of flaws.
You lived in Dutch.
Yeah, no, I seen it with Norway through. We had a period where we always ended up with the Dutch in the World Cup qualifiers and stuff like that, and just got beat. And that happened this time too. Norway would have been in there if we beat them in the last game of the qualifier. We would have been in, but we couldn't. But
I think I prefer Netherlands. Yeah.
Yeah. So
to Senegal.
To Senegal. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. And the thing is, like, the U.S. typically, when we play, we play to the talent of our other team, which is so frustrating. But a lot of teams do that, so fair play. So, if we play El Salvador, we might lose. But then we go on and beat, like, Morocco. Doesn't make any sense. So, like, if we're playing a game that's like England, and they're not as good as England by any stretch of the imagination. No. Netherlands isn't. If we go out and we play a team like that and they try to play with us, I think we have a very good. Again, the main thing that scares me is scoring, because we have like seven shots on goal in the entire tournament. But as far as playing a good game and keeping it close and being able to take it to them, especially after the England game,
sidebar.
I think it's totally possible.
I asked the question to the guys I was watching the game with: how many teams make it out of group stage scoring 2 goals? Think about that. We don't have to answer. I'm just sharing the thought.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
Yeah, I was actually waiting to tie this game and say undefeated USA, and then we don't get out of the group.
Well,
that was
along with only scoring 2 goals is only giving up.
Yeah.
One.
That's a penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even in the run of play.
All right, sorry about
we
that.
playing the red hot striker in Gakpo too, but yeah.
Yep.
In terms of the yellow cards, we now sit with 4 yellow cards. We have Tyler Adams that got one today, which was a weak one, by the way. And we still have Dest McKinney and Ream.
Get out of my face.
Yeah, we have Dest McKinney and Ream. And the rules are you carry them into this game. If you get another yellow, you will have to sit out the quarterfinal. If you get to the quarterfinal, they will clear it. So they don't want anybody to have missed a final from accumulation. So if we get a yellow card in this next game, they'll have to sit the quarterfinal.
After if you get one in the first game, we've now played 3 games. This next game, you still have 1 yellow card?
Yes.
In the 4th game?
Yep.
What?
And if you get one in the 4th game,
you will sit the quarterfinal.
You're out the next game.
Yes.
No, I mean,
everything clears. Everything clears. Yeah. Everything clears in the quarterfinal.
Taco Bell.
Okay. All right. And this concludes the rules section of the pod.
Yeah, but my point is that, hey, when we go out and beat the Netherlands, we have to hope that none of these guys pick up a yellow.
Yeah.
When did they switch it? to the quarterfinal and not the
Yeah.
round of 16.
They have done that for a while. The reason is there's been a couple of players that have gotten a second yellow in the semis and they can't play the final. So that's why they think it's really big that a big player is going to miss the final because of accumulation of yellow cards. That doesn't seem fair. So they started from the quarterfinals. So if you get,
But it could still happen, to be clear.
I guess it could still happen. Yeah,
All right. Oh,
that makes no sense. So yeah.
Qatar.
Also, Netherlands. So I watched the Netherlands Ecuador game. Did anybody else watch that game?
Caught bits
right.
and pieces.
Yeah.
So Ecuador starts MLS players. They are a good team. They had I'll send you the link to this. They had 2 shots on goal. Ecuador had 15. The expected goals was 1.7 to 0.1. Yeah, I mean, let's see, fouls committed, offsides, corners. I mean, this was a complete domination by Ecuador, and they tied 1-1, and that was 2 games ago. They beat Qatar, which is like, playing a local high school team.
You should see the shooting graph. They have the goal and one other shot, and then it's on the Dutch
It's
goal.
hilarious.
It's just dots everywhere.
Look, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 shots were inside the box for Ecuador. Not one shot inside the box for the Netherlands. I'm telling you, they're like Belgium. They look okay on paper, but they're not that great. I mean, I guess
They're good. Let's be straight. This is a very good team and won their group, just like England. But
It's going to be tough.
they're going to be tough. But it's definitely doable. It's definitely doable.
Yeah, I think it's definitely doable. And they got a guy with last name Dumfries, and we all think that's very funny. We still have yet to get over that fact. Every time he gets the ball and it's like dumb fries, and it's like those are dumb fries, baby.
All right.
Love it.
Well, so
And Louis Van
we
Gaal.
did it.
Oh, get
We
out
did
of
it.
here, Van Gaal.
We're talking about
all right, guys.
the post-group stage. It's great.
Still in it.
Yeah, doing the absolute bare minimum to get into the World Cup, and then the absolute bare minimum to get out of the world or get into the round of 16. But
Okay, so anything else we want to talk about with Netherlands?
They're good.
no, do another one of these pods in
Yeah.
6 days.
All right, so there was one other thing I just wanted to mention. It's not on the outline, although I don't know that we really have an outline for this one. Ben, you mentioned being a negative Nancy. I wanted to know if there was anything positive Nancy you wanted to talk about for this show.
Well, word on the grapevine tree of olives, the branches, is that we may have a little positive Nazi coming to the Columbus crew. So
Is that all you're going to say?
yeah.
Nothing's finalized yet.
All right.
Yep.
The problem is I want to call him Big Willie, and I know he's not going to like that. So I don't think I'm going to call him Big Willie because it's Wilfred. It's not even like William. It's like I want to call him Big Willie, but
So what's his
I don't
his
think
name?
that's going to stick.
Wilfred.
Wilfred.
All right.
Wait, you said another one of these in 6 days. The game's on Saturday and it's Tuesday.
Yeah. 6 fiscal days. I also said fiscal
days are shorter than world days.
It takes a couple eggs to crack to get your body. You got to go shopping.
Get chickens.
All right, this has devolved.
Nope.
Yeah,
All right, let's do this again Saturday. Okay, go USA.
Okay.
USA.
Oh, USA.
Thanks everyone for joining the club. We hope you'll listen next week and every week, even in the off season, to celebrate or commiserate. We'll save you a seat. If you like this podcast, please give us 5 stars and subscribe. You can email us at upper90clubpod@gmail.com. That's upper90clubpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at upper90clubpod. Go Crew! Like, do I have the same hand up as Haas?
That's your left hand?
Yeah,
Now you're right?
Now it's your right hand.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what hand it is. I'm asking you if
This is my right hand. I'm telling you that much.
Yeah. What hand is this? All right. Bye, everybody.